Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Zakir. My student number is E1D22218. Well, in this very good occasion, I'd like to present the result analysis of a poem titled Autumn a Dirge by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Let's take a look of the overview. So we've got introduction, overview of poem, analysis of poem, interpretation, and conclusion. Let's move on to the introduction. Percy Bysshe Shelley, or Shelley, was one of the most important poets of the Romantic era. He was born into a wealthy family in England. Well, despite his privileged background, Shelley was rebellious and questioned traditional ideas, politics, religion, and society. He believed in freedom, equality, and the power of imagination. Shelley lived during the Romantic period, on late 18th and to early 19th century. This was a time when writers and artists focused on emotions, individual experiences, and the beauty of nature. The Romantic era was also influenced by major events like French and American revolutions, which inspired ideas about liberty and change. There are some of notable works of Shelley during the Romantic era, but I only list three here. The first one is Ozymandias, a poem about the fleeting nature of power. The second one is Ode to the West Wind, a reflection of nature's power and the desire for renewal. The third one is The Prometheus of Unbound, a long poetic drama that explores themes of freedom and rebellion. And also, there are also some interesting facts about Shelley. The first one is Shelley was expelled from Oxford University for writing a pamphlet called The Necessity of Atheism. The second one is Shelley loved nature and often used it to express deep emotions and philosophical ideas. And the third one is he died at a young age, tragically at age 29 in a boating accident in Italy. But his works continue to inspire future generations of poets. And there are some contexts regarding Shelley in his poem. The first one is historical context. Autumn a Dirge was written during early 19th century, a time when the Industrial Revolution was changing society. Well, during this time, factories and machines were becoming more common. A lot of factories, a lot of machines were produced during that time. And many romantic poets, like Shelley, worried that people were losing their connections to the nature. And they believed that nature was not only beautiful, but also important for human emotions and creativity. The second one is social context. During this time, there was also a lot of social inequality. Shelley strongly believed in justice and equality, and his poems often reflected his desire for a better, free society. In this poem, Autumn a Dirge, the sadness of autumn might symbolize the loss of beauty and fairness in the world. We will talk more about it later. And the last one is personal context. Shelley's personal life was full of struggles and sadness. He lost several loved ones, including his first wife, and faced criticism for his ideas. Well, let's move on to the overview of the poem. Let's start with the title. The title, Autumn a Dirge, immediately sets a somber tone. A dirge itself is a song or poem of mourning, often performed at funerals. Well, by calling autumn a dirge, Shelley connects the seasons with death, loss, and the end of life. The title itself reflects the poem's mood and prepares readers for its themes of decay and sadness. And there are a couple of themes that are found in this poem. The first one is the cycle of life and death. As I mentioned before, autumn is portrayed as a time of endings where nature begins to wither and die. However, this theme also suggests that the natural cycle of life as death makes way for rebirth and spring. So it is the cycle of life. And the second one is nature and emotion. The imagery of dying flowers, falling leaves, and cold winds reflect human emotions like grief and melancholy. The third one is inevitability of change. The poem itself reminds us that change is unavoidable. Just as decisions shift from growth to decay, life also moves through cycles of joy and sorrow. While the structure of the poem consists of two stanzas, with each stanza consists of 11 lines. The lines are written in a mixture of iambic tetrameter and trimeter, creating a rhythmic and lyrical flow. The next one is stanza by stanza analysis. Well, I categorize into two things here. The first one is imagery and the second one is metaphors and symbols. Let's begin with the first stanza and with the imagery. The warm sun is failing, the bleak wind is wailing. The contrast between the warmth of the sun and the cold bleak wind shows the transition from life to death. And the bare boughs are sighing, the pale flowers are dying. Bare trees and dying flowers evoke a sense of emptiness and decay. And metaphors and symbols. The year blah 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 on her deathbed. Well, the year here is personified as a dying figure symbolizing the end of life. And the shroud of leaves, that is a metaphor for burial, linking autumn to death and mourning. Let's move on to the second stanza. The chill rain is failing, the neat worm is crawling. Well, the cold rain here and crawling worm emphasize nature's decline. The rivers are swelling, the thunder is snelling. Swollen rivers and thunder create a dramatic, almost apocalyptic scene. While metaphors and symbols, the dead cold year. The year here is a lifeless body, reinforce the themes of death and the passage of time, as I mentioned earlier. And tear on tear, the tears symbolize grief, both personal and universal, for the passing year and the fragility of life. And next, let's talk about the tone and mood. Well, as I read through some analysis and as I read through the poem, I conclude that the tone of the poem is mournful and reflective. Well, Shelley writes as if autumn itself is a funeral for the year. The poet's choices of words like wailing, dying, and deathbed conveys sorrow and inevitability. And the second one is mood. The mood is somber and melancholic. Readers feel the weight of loss through Shelley's vivid description of a fading world. And here's the question: how the poet creates tone and mood? Well, in my opinion, and as I read some articles, some analysis, there are three things. There are two reasons. There are three things to how Shelley creates tone and mood. The first one is nature as a mirror. So by connecting the dying year to human emotions, Shelley makes the imagery more personal and relatable. The second one is on the sound devices, and the third one is on the symbolism. The use of funeral symbolism like deathbed, shroud, bier deepens the poem's sense of mourning. And let's move on to the language and diction. First one, we have word choice. Well, Shelley uses words with strong connotations of grief and loss, such as wailing, wailing, dying, cold, cheat, and nailing. And the verbs such as sighing, lying, and kneeling emphasize slow, inevitable process, mirroring the quiet decline of life. Connotations. Words like pale flowers and bare boughs evoke fragility and emptiness. The chill rain and the dead cold year suggest not only physical coldness but also emotional isolation and loss. Repeated phrase. There are two. The first one is come, months, come away. The repetition of this phrase gives the poem a ritualistic chant-like quality, enhancing its mournful tone. The second one is follow the bier. The idea of following the funeral procession links the natural world's decline to human tradition of mourning. Let's move on to the interpretations. The first one is the cycle of life and death. The poem used autumn as a metaphor for the end of life. Shelley suggests that life moves in cycles of growth, decline, and renewal. Well, the dying year is personified as a figure on her deathbed, reflecting the inevitability of morality. However, this natural cycle also hints at hope that is not the end of life, but it is part of larger process that leads to rebirth in spring. And the second one is the nature and human emotions. Shelley connects the change in nature to human feelings. The bare trees, cold winds, and swelling rivers act as mirrors of the melancholy, reminding us that nature's rhythms often parallel our emotions' lives. And the third one is grief and mourning. The dirge-like tone of the poem reflects personal or universal grief. Autumn itself becomes a symbol of loss and sadness, a time to mourn what is gone. And the poet's description of nature, dying flowers, bare branches, and falling rain echo the emotions of those who have experienced loss in their life. The months are imagined as mourners, further reinforcing the funeral theme. And the last one is conclusion. Percy Bysshe Shelley's Autumn, a Dirge, is a poignant meditation on the cycle of life and death, using autumn as a metaphor for endings and transitions. More like similar like to the west wind, right? So the poem explores themes of grief, impermanence, and renewal with vivid imagery of dying flowers, bare branches, and swelling rivers that mirror human emotions. Autumn symbolizes the natural progression of life, where decay leads to eventual rebirth, reminding us the fleeting nature of beauty and time. Through its mournful tone, rich symbolism, and reflection on nature's rhythms, the poem invites readers to connect their own experience of loss and change with the greater cycles of the natural of the world. And that's the result of analysis on the poem titled Autumn, a Dirge by Bysshe Shelley. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.